Right, guys, did you know that around 85% of you who listen to the show haven't yet hit the subscribe or like button?
It's not on that, is it?
Nah, it's rubbish.
So if you have found any value in watching or listening to the podcast, click like, follow, or subscribe.
It helps us so much.
And the bigger this show gets, the bigger Jackie's head gets.
All right, mate, chill out.
So thanks, guys. Enjoy the episode.
Yes, lads.
Do you know where the afters is?
Wicked. Right, Mark Knight, welcome to the Afters.
Thank you very much for having me. Glad to be here.
You're very welcome. How you doing, mate? You good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm very good. I've got a bit of a knee issue, as you might have seen walking in, but apart from that, I'm golden.
Good. Well, obviously we know who you are, but for those at home who don't, who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck am I? It's a very good question. Well, I'm Mark Knight. I am a DJ, producer, label owner, businessman, and hopefully good dad.
Love that.
Oh, I think you're right.
Absolutely.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, I can imagine you being a pretty good dad, Mark.
Listen, I should have said that first. That in life is, for me, the most important thing to shoot for. So, yeah, all the other stuff is great, but my job is to give my son the best opportunities and the most love, I can possibly deliver. So that's my number one.
Mint.
Love that.
Class. What a start. What a start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll dive straight in then. So, obviously, that's a little bit about you, but we want to know, and for the listeners at home who don't also know much about you, want to talk a little bit about your origin story, because I know loads about it, coming through the scene and kind of listening to your tracks from the very early days of my career. But for those that don't know much about you, tell us a little bit about your origin story. What was your journey into music, and how did that look?
Wow, how far back do you want to go? I guess if you stripped it right back to the very beginning, I was just a music fan ever since I can remember. As a kid, my whole purpose in life was two things: one, playing football, and two, getting hold of music. That was all I lived for. And since the age of about 10, I remember every Saturday would be football training in the morning, and then a pilgrimage to every record shop I could possibly find to hunt down these records I'd listened to on my mum and dad's radio at home, written the names down, and then the pilgrimage was to go and find these records. I mean, that was like in early 80s. So wow. Before the whole culture of electronic music had even started, it wasn't a thing. It was just a passion for music, and I guess that's the ultimate precursor to being a DJ. When DJing was never a thing, I guess it has to be rooted and come from that foundation. I feel to do it with real integrity and real passion. So that was always my absolute passion, was to find this music. And then electronic music started, and I guess I discovered house music inadvertently. I wasn't really a big fan of it initially. I didn't get it. I was like the biggest swing beat kid in the history of swing beat and
really?
Soul and disco and soul and boogie. Yeah, I mean that's where, and hip hop. I mean, I'm very lucky to live through two huge cultural revolutions. The first being hip hop, and the second being electronic music. And the whole hip hop thing blew me away. I just couldn't believe it. And when I heard these tapes coming out of New York, I was like, what is this? And then electro and all of those early sounds. And I just didn't get house music initially. I found it a bit straight, a bit kind of soulless. And then I heard 10 Cities album, Foundation. I was like, oh, wow, this is good. It's joining the dots between where I was previously in soul and, kind of more electronic sounds. And it was the bridge between those two scenes. And then started to go out a little bit and discover the experience of electronic music, hearing those records in situ, and go, wow, I want to find this music now. This is my passion. It's migrated. I was still, very much still buying soul music, but now buying house music as well. And then parties started to happen. You thought, oh wow, I can express what I want to play people via these parties, and started doing my own thing. And
so what year was that then, when you started doing your own parties and being able to play music to a crowd?
92, 93, right, something like that. I mean, I had gone to Ibiza in 1989 randomly, first ever lads' holiday when I was 16.
What a place to go.
Yeah.
What a year to go as well.
Just because it was cheap, to be totally honest. It was the cheapest place that Thomas Cook had, so we'll go there. And we got there and we went to Amnesia and we went to Es Paradis. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is bonkers. I guess that sowed the seed as well. So it kind of been... The seed had been planted, and when we started doing parties, started in the most humble way. I remember my first ever gig was on a pub on a Tuesday night, a bar called Gabriel's in Maidstone, and I guess that's where you really learn how to DJ, because there was like 5 people. You were playing for 5 hours. You play one wrong record, it's game over. They're going to Wetherspoon. So you really have to think about every move you make, and a couple of records ran out. Oh God. And I was like, right, this is the live experience. And I really wanted to hone and practice that. And my brother bought a set of decks. And I was like, me and my brother are super competitive. We've done everything together in our life. In fact, we run the business together now. We run Toolroom together. We always have done. Yeah, so we'll get into that. It's a family thing. And it's like, I can mix. Like, right, fuck that. Right, I'm having a go at that. So all these things, all these factors. And then DJing became a thing. And I kind of went into it purely through the passion for music, because it wasn't about money. I didn't get it because I wanted to earn money. It was just like, this is a chance to play all these records to people that I love. Look, listen to this, and things kind of progressed from there. Started making music, and that obviously gave me an identity, and then that sort of moved into starting the label and so on and so forth.
When did you start making music?
I would say about 1997, 1998. Me and my mate Danny started making it. We had the most ridiculous amount of rubbish gear ever. We had this tiny sampler. I think we could put about 8 seconds worth of samples. Less than that, I think probably about 4 seconds worth of samples. So you had to get really, really creative. Yeah. And it was really shit, to be fair. But the first thing we ever did was a version of Roy Ayers' Running Away. We kind of cut that, looped that up, because I had all this knowledge of all this old stuff, disco and funk and soul, and that was the bit I knew and understood, because I'm not a musician. So it wasn't like I could just sit there and lay down chords and we build music like that. All my references and all my knowledge come from my exposure to music since I was 8 or 9, and taking that was my USP, bringing that to the game. So we cut up Running Away, and that was the first thing we ever did, and cut some slates and gave it to a few people, got a P&D deal, and I was like, wow, I love doing this. I love doing it.
How old were you when you got that deal then?
P&D deal, that's a very good question. I guess 21, 22, something like
Relatively young then.
Yeah. I've done it for a while. I'm getting the hang of it now, to be fair. So that was early doors, and then that really complemented what I was doing in terms of playing. First ever big break was playing for Kiss. I was there, first ever gig was at Gary City. My first ever break was there. Big up to Bobby and Steve and the guys there. They ran a DJ competition, which I entered and won, and it was to play a warm-up set in the club, because we used to go religiously. We were mad I was into garage and US, soulful house. That was, again, I was still rooted very much in that soulful sound. I still am now, that's never gone away. That really is my passion. And I got my first show there, and I got in with the Kiss guys who sort of co-promoted Garage City, and that went well. And they said, look, we want to offer you a residency at Hanover Grand. We're starting a new night called Independence. And it was brilliant. It was every Friday night, and I'd play alongside Dave Lee and Eric Murillo and Full Intention, and then just become friends with them because you'd see them often. And fair play to Dave. He, I said to him, look, I'm making some music, played him some stuff. He said, look, you're on the right lines, but you should work with my engineer Kevin to help you kind of bring these ideas to life. So I started working with Kevin, and we started a production partnership. First thing I did was released on Dave's Zeb Records, and it was, it really helped me, to get in the game at the right level. And we ended up sharing a studio, me and Dave. Our first ever studio was in Shoreditch on Essex Road, when Shoreditch was cheap. We did get broken into every week, but that come with the territory. But it got more and more expensive, and we kind of, Dave moved up to Mill Hill, and it had a studio at home, and it just got too expensive. So it kind of happened that way, really. it was a brilliant journey, and I was very lucky, I guess. I don't know, not lucky. You create your own luck. I had some great partnership, great friends that helped me steer my passion into something that would become, quite successful.
I think the way you say you're lucky, I think you're just showing that you're humble. Also, but I do think right place at the right time is amazing as well. Like it really is a factor.
And I think, look, you've got to know what you want and make that happen. Luck was the wrong choice of word. It's like I knew what I wanted to do. I was very driven to make that a thing, and I'm a super driven person. If someone said to me, "What you need to do is go through that wall, Mark," then I will go through that wall. That won't be a problem. We'll just keep chipping away, but I'll be through it. No worries. And that's what I wanted to achieve. I really felt that I didn't make it in sport, which I really wanted to, and I felt this was my second chance. I really knew I wanted to do something, and I just needed the right opportunity in the right forum, and music was obviously my other passion. It just wasn't a vocation, I guess, in the early days. We could see sport led into something that was professional, and music wasn't. When I went to clubs when I was a kid, no one saw the DJ. It was just a dude in the corner. It wasn't an aspirational thing. It was like, I wonder where the guys putting music on, because you were there to dance and just embrace the music and girls and all that. That was the experience. It wasn't this idolisation of some guy putting records on, which I still find weird and somewhat awkward to this day, because I it doesn't feel natural. It's not what I knew. It's not what I learned. So
the DJ is the rock star now.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a lot of ways. One thing I did find interesting there is what you started talking about originally, which was that you had a passion for football.
Yep.
You had a passion for music. Now, in my experience, when I've spoke to friends about this, I spoke every time I was in different places in the world when I was on the road. You speak to people about like their parents and what their parents were into. And if parents are into football and they had season tickets for Newcastle or whatever, they're football all in, and they didn't really give a fuck about music. It was like secondary, very secondary. But for you had two really strong passions.
Massively. And I kind of stood out a bit like a sore thumb at school, because I was like the guy who loved music, as well as sport. And there was only one other guy who, weirdly enough, I really looked up to, a guy called James Bush. Weirdly enough, my brother is now married to his sister. So I guess that connection was meant to be. But he was the only other guy that showed this massive passion for music. I was like, look, I want to be that guy, and the fashion that come around it, the casual thing in the 80s. So as much as I love sport, I like to balance that with music. So,
and then the label then. So Toolroom.
Yes.
You started talking there about your first releases and stuff. At what point did you think, I want to have my own label? I want to do this myself?
Because I'd released on a lot of labels, and let me tell you, they couldn't run a bath, let alone a label. Do you know what I mean? It was. I was like, look, why am I putting my faith into their hands? They are not going to make me. The only person who's going to make this happen is me. And if I fuck up, my fault. It's on my shoulders. And I've really always thought, rightly or wrongly, that's the best approach for me, is to own the process, own the responsibility, because then if you make a mistake, you don't put the work in, then you won't see the results. I think this idea that someone's going to deliver you a career, no, mate, that's not a thing. Go and make it yourself. If you've got to build, the key to it is have a vision, know what you want to achieve, emanate that really loudly, build a team that supports that vision, and you'll move mountains.
The point you made about labels not doing it for you and you want to do it yourself because you were in control. Elaborate on that a little bit. What points of the process that the other label managers were doing, what were they letting themselves down with? What particular were you like? Is it promotion? Was it like?
It was all of the above. Accounting, promotion. It was a very different landscape then. This was pre-internet, so there wasn't a way of promoting music. It was literally like I'm doing this later on this week, going to Miami. You go out and give people records physically.
This week, isn't it?
This week, yeah. So it was more hands-on, it was more face-to-face, because you didn't have those mediums of connection. So I just felt that I was putting all this effort into, your heart and soul went into this project, and they put it out. Oh wow, that's not really matched my level of endeavour here. Right. So and I just one of these guys who just, maybe it's a control thing, but I feel like if it's my responsibility, I've only got myself to be accountable for. So that was always the drive as well, because I knew what I wanted to achieve. I knew there was a gap in the market, and I knew that I could make that work. I could fill that hole because I had a sound, had an idea, I knew what I stood for, and I was comfortable with that. I wasn't chasing something else. I was going, well, I want to fit in there. There's a hole there, and I'm going to go and grab it.
Oh, mate, you filled that fucking hole because, I mean, was last year, wasn't it the best selling label?
Yeah, Beatport. Yeah, which is great. I mean, we've had that. Thank you, mate. I mean, for many years, and it's all credit to the brilliant team. You know that I'm just part of the team. We have the most incredible team at Toolroom. You know, there's no I's in Toolroom. It's a collective. We are a family in more ways than one, and that unity and that belief in what we can achieve. You know, like I said, we can move mountains, man. We really can. You know, set us a challenge. We'll go smash it because we're joined up. We're harmonised and we're pointing towards something where everyone will reap the benefits because we have that as a company. If we do well, we all share the benefits of that, you know, financially and through the efforts, you know, just the rewards, just getting those little bits of feedback. You know, you need to go to work every day and feel like you're killing it.
Yeah,
you only get one crack at this, you know. Yeah. So if I can invigorate everyone and vitalise everyone to collectively run towards something I know is achievable with enough effort.
Well, from an outside point of view, I know we caught up. It's probably 6 years ago now when I came to the offices. Yeah, I was thinking about sending you guys some music, working on some stuff. But from an outside point of view, it always seemed like Toolroom. They had a theme. They have they do what they do. They don't steer. They don't kind of accommodate to the masses. They just do Toolroom.
Yeah,
and that always shined through for me.
From
an outside point of view, and I mean, it's clearly paying off because.
That's it. I think, you know, what you've got to do is fundamentally do music as a passion from the heart, because anything else is somewhat transparent. And I think you have to understand that it's not always going to be your day. There's going to be trends. You've got to dig in and go, look, it's going to go around, but when we come back, guess who's going to be at the front of the queue? It's going to be us.
Yeah.
You know, there's been moments where we haven't been the most popular thing, but we've just stuck with what we do and gone over and over and over again. And look, let's come back around.
That's what I'm saying. Right now, it's
we're back round again.
Back round again.
We're number one. Thank you very much.
There's another thing that like the hard house scene, and also obviously hard house had its time. Yeah, when I was at school, listening to Tidy Boys and Lisa Lashes and all that stuff, and then obviously that died away. And then now hard house is coming back, or hard dance is coming back really strong. And the guys who stuck it out are like now starting to. Tidy's back on top again, you know. So it's incredible. But
Ben BK does a lot of work with us, and he's having it off again. And good luck to him because he just stuck to his guns. He's like, this is what I am through thick or thin, and he's killing it right now. So I think, you know, that is the key to longevity in music and success. I think is to stick to what you love, know what you are, be comfortable with what you are, stick at it, be the very best of it, keep refining that process of what you do till it's super slick and it's super effective, and then guess what? Your day will come.
So it's such good advice that as well, you know, to any artist. You know, I mean, we've had quite a few on here who've talked about, you know, them peaks and troughs and just sticking by your sound, and eventually it'll come back on. Just talking about like the family. Did you say your brother works with
my brother and my dad? Works with us, and just before we come in, I was on the phone having a very heated conversation with my dad.
Oh, really?
Yes. The joys of running a family business. It's like the best thing in the world and the worst thing in the world, all wrapped up in one. It's difficult, you know. It's really difficult. At the end of the day, we've all got each other's back. There's a bond in blood that's, you know, that's unbreakable.
Absolutely.
But it's challenging. It's very, very difficult. You know, we do have polarized views on how we do things, which is challenging because, you know, I'll risk everything. I'm always the optimist, and my dad and my brother are a little bit more conservative, dare I say. So it's a challenge, you know, and we have to find a place where that overlaps and meets in the middle, and then we're at our best. But that's not always the most easy thing to get to. So it's brilliant because, you know, you can turn around and say, look, with my dad and my brother, we started something from a shed outside our parents. You know, it's gone from the shed to the stars. So, and that's a pretty cool thing to walk away and stand by. So, but challenging in along the journey because you can't sack your brother, he can't sack me. There's been moments we want to kill each other, but yeah, at the end of the day, you know, we always got each other's back. You know, whatever happens, he's my brother, he's my dad. You know, die for him. So it has an incredible foundation, and then you build the rest of the business on top of that because you're joined up. who emanate. You know, we have this thing called Toolroom Family, and that's not just a marketing slogan. We're a genuine family.
No, I get that.
Yeah. You know,
Even when I came in the office, you could tell that.
Yeah.
You know? It's a proper team.
It's a proper
real team.
Yeah, and you know, look, I've got to be the captain. Don't matter if I'm in Sao Paulo Saturday night and first one in Monday making the brews. You know, and it's like you've got to lead from the front. You've got to create that harmony, and if you do, it's just unstoppable.
I love that, because I used to DJ with my brother, and now we've set up like a fitness business, Willer's Fitness, and we're working together again.
How's that going?
It's going very well, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny to say, you know, sometimes it can get a little heated.
You want to ask for some advice there?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
It's only a couple of months in, isn't it, Sean?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So you just come on full time with me in January. But again, I think, you know, that the blood is thicker than water. So
it is. And I think what you need to do is really affirm your position in the business. Understand what you do. Like my brother doesn't want to be an artist, and I don't want to do double taxation forms for Portugal. Thank you very much. No point have ever wanted to do that. So we understand what we're good at, and we play to our strengths. And I think that's really important. If you build a team, I use a lot of football analogies all the time. You've got to get the right players on the pitch playing the right roles. You know, you don't need 11 centre forwards. You know, you need a great right back, you need a great centre midfielder, great centre half. It's about building the team with all the right people that collectively are super strong. And one thing we've always understood is our position. We never overlap each other. You know, we don't cross. You know, his responsibilities are his responsibilities. My deliverables are my deliverables. So that helps.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Has that been from the start as well? Like from the start?
100%. Yeah. Well, like when we started in the shed, because that's why it's called Toolroom. Basically, it was a shed outside my mum and dad's house, but we kept the tool.
I never knew this.
Wow. Yeah, that's why it's called Toolroom. We had the lawnmower in there and all of that tackle.
That's class.
And I was, myself and my wife had a house in town. We lived in town. She wanted to go back to university. I had this burning desire to elevate what I was doing to a full-time thing. And I had this vision of what I wanted to create with the label. So we sold the house. We split the money. She had to move back to her mum and dad's. I had to move back to my mum and dad's, which was tough, you know, because we were, you know, we were super in love, and we still are. And we had lived together for many years. And then to kind of backpedal from that's quite a big decision to make. And I went back to my mum and dad's house and I said, look, is there any chance we can turn the tool room into a studio? And I poured all the money I had. I mean, the lawnmower was fucked. That lived outside. Game over. The fly mower's gone. Just write that off. No,
well, it was worth it then.
I must buy my dad a new one. So yeah, I spent all the money I had from the sale of the house. Initially funded the build of the studio and floated the business initially, because my brother was a car salesman at the time. He just lost his job, and I said, come on, Stu, let's do it. Let's do this thing. My dad has an interesting story. He was in a band when he was a kid. He's a drummer, and they toured. They got to number 2 in the charts. He touched on music, then come out of music and went into business. But he retired super early, so he was bored, twiddling his thumbs. So I said, look, Dad, this is what I want to do. This is the plan. So it's great to have someone like that who doesn't necessarily work in the business, he works on it, you know. It's so hard to be objective when you're running a business, because you're so close to the details. Put your head above the parapet and go, we need strategically to be here and here, because you're so caught up in with the day-to-day element of it. To take that objective back, a step back and look in, not an easy thing to do. So we had him in our corner doing the strategy and showing us how to run a business, P&Ls, and how to do things with proper business acumen and proper business conduct, you know, conduct ourselves like a proper, pay people, do things properly. If you want longevity, there's no point in me signing a track for you and then never paying you, because you're never going to give me the next one.
Yeah, of course.
You're going to go, fuck you, Mark.
Which a lot of labels still do that.
Well, of course. Exactly. So we wanted to underpin it with really good business principles, and he gave us all that knowledge because he had successful businesses himself. So he played that role. Stuart was in the study in my mum and dad's house. They were running the office in there. He was doing that. He'd be doing all the promo, sending out all the promos, doing all the stuff in there, all all the business element of what we were doing, and I'd be in the shed making music. So we started as this little team, and then we just built it from there. But it was founding in that respect.
This team thing is resonating with me quite a lot, because I've been thinking about when I was younger and I played basketball for years. I didn't really know what I was doing.
What position you played? Forward.
And I was point
guard. Big point guard.
There was a guy in our team who was 15. He had the same size shoe as his age. He was tall. He was like 6'8".
Who did you play for?
Weir Valley, and then I played for Durham.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, years ago.
Much of the reason I can't walk now is because I played so much basketball.
Did you really?
I was obsessed with basketball. Like my dream was to get a scholarship and go and play in the NCAA. That was like, but back then, how did you do that? It was almost impossible. Different landscape now.
Oh, completely. I remember playing for the Northeast one year. And they did it all at Lilleshall, so everyone went down and they
brilliant.
did like the inter UK tournament. It was class.
Did you ever go to any of the basketball holidays like Kingston? And who was the coach? Who was the England coach? He also did commentary on NFL.
I don't know.
Answers on a postcard. Basketball coach in the early 90s. He used to run Kevin Cadle. Oh, how have I got that? He used to run at Crystal Palace and Kingston, and I used to spend all my summer holidays not playing football, going to these basketball.
Wow. We'll have to get you both outside, innit, after?
Well, there's a basketball machine downstairs. You've seen it?
Mate,
£2.
Game on.
We'll do a game
on.
afterwards. But the reason I brought that up is because...
Sorry.
No, that's all right. We digress. We digress all the time, don't we, Sean? Often. I always found... I didn't realise this until an older age, but me being in sports really helped me to manage teams as I got older. It didn't work very well in my music career, as I didn't manage myself very well. But especially now when I'm running like two or three different businesses and we're managing people and managing teams, all that experience kind of, when you've got a role in a team, you have your role, you look after your role, and don't get in someone else's way. Yeah, everyone's got their own responsibilities, and clearly that has shined through when it comes to Toolroom, because everyone's got their own job.
Absolutely.
Don't get in each other's way, and you just let everyone else crack on, and everyone's got their own jobs. And
everything you need to know in life, you can learn on a football pitch.
Yeah.
They are the fundamental ethics in life, I feel. Teamwork, responsibility, camaraderie, all of these things that make a great team. If you've come from that as a background, I think that puts you in a great place in life. I get really, really frustrated with this industry because I find there's not enough people in this industry who understand the principle of that. Sometimes I go home and I want to scream because I'm like working with people who don't understand that fair play element. Yeah. You'll give them like massive leg up, you help them do things. I'm like, could you do this? No. Wait a minute. Let me just ask you again. And so many managers and agents and that, it's like all trying to screw people. It's
all take.
It's all take.
Yeah.
And I think one, it comes from a lack of confidence. The ability to share and big people up and help people because you are comfortable in what you can do yourself. I think a lot of it are that, and this is quite a bold statement, and I really don't care. I think a lot of this industry is unfounded in ability. A lot of people will hang on to their position and fake it. In sport, you can't fake it. Imagine just going on a football pitch, being very good at taking photos of your training, then getting in a game and being absolutely dogged. Right? And
you wouldn't last, would you?
You can't. There's no faking sport. You're either good or not good. It's a very binary thing, and that gives you a position within the industry. And unfortunately, in today's landscape, you can distort that. You can affect that with a lot of people around you. Ghost producers, online social media presence, all of buying, follow, all of that stuff distorts your actual ability, and then you get backed up with a manager who's trying to support that somewhat precarious position, and the best form of defence is usually attack, and it's like this just doesn't sit with me. I've got another business, a football business, and work with a lot of sports people in that, and the difference is monumental. They come from this we'll all help each other out.
It's the principles.
We'll get stuck
in.
It's a team. And I think dance music, it just lacks that. It's that kind of, I don't know, that ideal.
Do you think it did as well? Or is it got worse?
It's got worse, it's really got worse. Look, without sounding kind of a bit wafty, the whole basis of this scene was built on this kind of utopian togetherness, this tribe-like movement of people coming together out of oppression and where the world was at that time through the medium of dance music. And we've lost sight of its basic principle. We've lost sight of, like, we are all supposed to be helping. That's what we built it on, not let's all screw each other for the most amount of money. It's got really quite unnice. Do you know what I mean? It's not what it was built on, and it's a shame we don't check ourselves as an industry and go, why are we not all helping each other out? Why are we screwing promoters so they can't make any money? It's so short-sighted, and I think a lot of that is because we've got a lot of people in a lot of high places faking it, and really haven't got the techers and the skills to back that up, and that is not a great place to be. And so it's a bit of a rant there.
That's so true as well. I come from a military background as well, so
love that.
I went from years in the military to the music industry, and that's the first thing I noticed. Like, and we talk about this all the time. It's sort of like that dog eat dog. No one really has any discipline or principles, and there's everyone pretending like they're working together. But when you've actually been in an environment,
bro shit, and then go, can you come play with us?
Can
you speak to my agent? No, I'm speaking to you. Do you want to do it? Yes or no? Man up and answer me the question. But if you don't, and that's okay, but just have the balls to say, Nighty, I don't want to come on. I'm not going to go and do the dance with your silly agent. And that's what we lack enough. We lack that. We should check ourselves.
I think so. But just on that, I think, full transparency, I lost a lot of my military background the longer I spent time in the in the music industry.
Sure.
Like, there was, we used to say it was RISE in the military: respect, integrity, service before self, and equality.
Love it.
And that's what I always used to pride myself on. But the longer I spent time in the music industry, the further I got away from that. And it wasn't since I've now left, I've been able to find myself again within that. And I think a lot of that is because I was surrounding myself with people, who, like we just mentioned then, and not blaming them for it, but it was sort of rubbing off on myself as well.
Totally. We don't have enough of that team mentality within our industry, and it's a shame because it could be such a better environment for artists to exist in. It's okay to big each other up. Like, why don't I love hear a record or track and I'm like, wow, it's not on my level. I don't give a shit. Like, that's an amazing record. That's what DJing is about. It's about showing your passion for music. You don't have to have an agenda all the time. You can do things through love. Man, I heard this new Cruisey record. It's brilliant. The fact it's on DFTD, who cares? Like, we are together in this as one. You go back and listen to all those old early house records. The message in the music was about a collective, a unity, being. That was what changed the game. That's what changed from where we were, kicking each other, to death at football matches, to all hugging each other because we're somewhat distorted by chemicals, but who cares if that made it happen? The shift, the fact that football violence ended overnight because we took a different approach. And if we went back to some of the core values of what we built this industry on, we'd be in a better place.
Well, why did we all start going out to clubs? Like, I wanted to go out because it was all about being around other people, meeting new people, getting new experiences, going to new places, new cities, different countries. And it was all about being a part of something that you were all a part of. You didn't know everyone in that place, but you felt part of something. It was like a movement, or not even a movement. It was a community.
Yeah, it was.
We've talked about this in terms of podcasts. So, in my career in the music industry, I remember, I'm not going to mention names, but I was playing a lot for a very well-known brand, released on another label, and then after 3 to 6 months, and by the way, I was getting booked for this really big brand for ages, and I had prospects to be residents for them in Ibiza and all this stuff, and then released on another really good label, and then they just stopped talking to me.
I wonder who those two labels are. That's all changing a bit now. You don't even have to tell. That's all changing now. Things have changed. But you're right.
But it happens. It happens. This is 2016. This is years ago. This was happening all the time. I was having friends who were saying, look, I want to release on this label, but I'm worried if I do release on this label, I'm not going to be able to release on this other label, and then I'll stop getting booked for X, Y, and Z party.
Imagine how ridiculous that is. Do you know what
There's
I mean?
enough gigs. There's enough food to eat for everyone. I say this all the
Exactly that.
time. And we spoke to another podcast who we were going to work with and do some stuff with. And they said to us, why don't we try and grow a podcast audience together? Because, the comedian podcasts have an audience. Sports podcasts have an audience. There's not really an audience for us, so why don't we do it together? And I remember telling Sean, I relayed it back to him, and he was like, are you joking? That's amazing, because it's so foreign to us that someone would want to work with us and build with us instead of standing on top of each other.
The rest
Grow
of the world's
together.
actually like that a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It is. And it is such a shame, like you say, there's enough pie for everyone, and it's not about that. And again, it comes from an insecurity of like, if you're not sure, then you're frightened to give up what you have, But look, I'll help anyone. That's my job, is to, as in the A&R role I have, my job is to define and develop acts selflessly. Yes, I put them on my label, but it's a responsibility I love and I cherish, that to help people go from here to there, with. And all I ever ask is that's reciprocated in fair play. I've worked with so many artists that we've brought through that, got to get on tour, got to get on tour. They go off to have massive careers, and good luck to them. But not once have they gone, do you know what, Nighty? Thanks for doing all that stuff. Like, thanks for coming to my show. Thanks for helping me. Thanks for giving me a break. And like, I'll give you a gig on my show. Said none of them ever. Which hurts. I mean, I'm over it now. I don't care, because I'm like I said right at the beginning of the interview, my main role is one of a dad and a husband. That's my gig. You know what I mean? Music's my job and my passion, but I don't let that cloud who I am. I'm more than comfortable where I'm at. Yes, it hurts a little bit because it undermines everything I know, my principles in sport and all of those things, all of those basic ethics you have. It just completely goes against that. Like, I just find it a bit weird, but hey-ho.
Well, should we, instead of ranting them up, should we maybe move on?
But
it's very valid points. I'm just joking.
No, and just on that as well, I absolutely love the advice that you give about the label as a business as well. And I think that's such great advice to any like young aspiring artists. Is like, when you're thinking about creating a label, think of it more as like a business entity as well, and
it will not as well as a business entity.
Yeah, 'cause it is,
not as well. It's called the music business for a reason. It's not all music and it's not all business. So what you need to do is go, right, I'm the music guy, right? So I need to go and find the business guy to make all my music come alive. Because if I start doing the business bit, I'm probably not as good at that, and I'll take my eye off the music bit. So have a vision. Be realistic in your aspirations. Understand it won't happen overnight. Budget, forecast for a journey within that. But build a team. Build a team will support your vision and your aspiration. And if you do that, you elevate yourself, in terms of your approach to this massively.
Absolutely.
I want to move on to the health and fitness stuff. I want to touch on it with you the other day, but I know we spoke. I can't remember the first time we spoke recently, but I remember you telling me that you'd cut your gigs right back. Because when I came to see you about 5-6 years ago,
said the same thing. Probably.
You said the same thing, but it's leaving less now. I think it might be even half. Are you doing like one or two a month? Something
like that. And it's a nice position to be in. I've taken a long while to get to that point, but realised that many years ago that the key to happiness is balance. If you're doing 16, 18 gigs a month, there's no room for balance in your
let's talk about that then. So when it was like that, because you're in great shape, Mark, if you don't mind me saying, have you always kind of kept that that work ethic in terms of fitness and health all the way through your touring career, or is it
tried to? Not, moments where I've been more balanced in the way I do both, for sure. And obviously now I'm addicted to the gym now. I love it. We were talking about muscle work and all that beforehand. I mean, it's a great foundation to the day. You go into the gym, you give it your all, you feel like that you're ready to take on the world. You've had your hour. We have a 1 hour rule in our family. Everyone gets an hour a day for themselves. That's their time. Don't get in the way of it. Let them express themselves. Because look, give me an hour and I'll give you the world. Do you know what I mean? If someone rings me between 8:30 and 9:30, it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? Unless it's 9:99, It ain't happening.
Right.
9:30, I'm all yours. I'm all yours for the whole day. I'll give you 110%. Give me an hour. Let me have my moment, and then I'm all yours. So, yeah, I've really tried to make all these adjustments in my life so I get the full complement of musical fulfillment through doing the right amount of gigs, because now I'm bang up for it. I'm like, I'm doing a gig in Miami this weekend. Great, I'm bang up for it. Not like,
yes, yeah,
hell.
different dynamic completely, and the different, because if you've got 18 shows, we were talking to Waff about this, and Waff was like, I've got 16 to 18 shows a month, and I was just like, fuck.
I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I'll be totally honest with you, because it becomes mechanical, it becomes a chore, and it's not what you got in it for. You need to turn up like buzzing your tits off, waiting to play. Like, cannot wait to play.
Yeah.
You should have that anticipation. You should have all of those nerves, all of that energy and excitement for the show. When it becomes that it's that repetitive, you lose that. It's a shame, because you can't help that. A lot of my mates are like ex-prem footballers, and I say to them, do you miss playing? They're like, no. I'm like, hang on a minute, you missed, not, let me just ask you that again. So you don't miss running out of Anfield? Not really. And like, I didn't want to get to that point where, you'd overcooked it that much, or you'd ended in your relationship with it on that note. So, yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time, 20 years, building a plan B. I always wanted to have a plan B. I always knew that would be the best approach, because if you're going to get into this, you got to know how to get out of it. No one likes to see the heavyweight boxer of the world going back in for money, getting his head kicked in. You want to leave graciously, or have that kind of part of your career, back end of your career, that is more, dare I say, legendary, which is a very grandiose thing to say, but build up to that thing where you can have your moments and it feels in context, it's not overdone, and it's appropriate. And I always wanted to have and afford myself that opportunity. That's why I always ran this with principles, with dedication, with structure, with discipline. Monday morning, don't matter where you've been, get into work. Lead the team, do that, and build it. And now the business is so successful that I don't need financially to DJ, which puts me in a great place, that if I want to go and play and it's something I want to do, then brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm not backed into that position of having to tour, because the whole touring thing is fundamentally flawed. 100% it is. We have all of these issues, mental health, and because the whole thing is fucked.
Yeah.
It's upside down. No other sector in the music industry, it runs on those principles. Imagine if we sat around, phone up Oasis, said, right lads, doing a tour, it's 20 years straight, no weekends off. How many members of Oasis would be alive at the end of the tour? Nil point.
Yeah,
Good point.
But in dance music, if you're not doing 18 gigs, you're a bit out of fashion, you're a bit shit. It's like, no, you're not. You're actually approaching it in a very sensible way. Build. There are many ways to skin a cat, especially in music now. There's so many incredible facets, revenue generating opportunities, that you don't have to put all your eggs in that basket. That's not smart, because that will run out, and that will also kill you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people jumping on this IV wagon, so they'll tour on the weekend, and then I know some friends, I won't mention names again, but they'll have an IV on a Monday. Very cryptic. And that's, I'm conflicted with that. If they're having them every week, because you've been on the road, you're jet lagged, you're sleep deprived, you've probably been to the parties and done whatever. You've come home and then you get an IV on a Monday to sort you out. I'm like, is that really the
I think
solution?
if you use that as the foundation to then get your ass into work for 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah, but that's
the hell. Do it. Do you know what I mean? Do it by any means necessary. But I think approach it in a way that it's more
sustainable.
Absolutely.
Totally,
It's good. Do you know, I've never heard anyone put it in that context, though, about, any other music industry, you wouldn't do, even 8 shows a month for 20 years. Do you know what I mean? Every single weekend for 20 years.
Everyone in the band would be dead.
Exactly.
The rest of the whole music industry tours in cycles. They go, right, I'm going to go off the road for 2 years, get very creative, reset myself as a person, build up to this point of energy, and they go and tour the album or tour whatever project they're doing. Hit it hard for 2-3 months or 6 months max, build a big team that supports that, and then come off the road. But do we do that in dance music? No, because if you're not playing every 5 minutes, ooh, you're on it.
So why do you think that is, though?
I don't know.
I think it's money.
I think
It's got to be money, because if you're not gigging, you're not getting any money. You're not making mass. I mean, what was Lee Haslam saying? You got to make 30 grand. You got to get like 65 million streams on Spotify.
Yeah, you might.
I got it wrong on didn't I?
Well, look, a million streams is worth about $3.5 grand on Spotify.
Yeah.
That gives you the context. But to give you an example, we, as the biggest CD label on Beatport, earn more money from Peloton than we do Beatport.
Really?
Yeah.
Right, now you think of how the music industry is evolving and revenue opportunities. You've got to be across all of that.
Got you.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not just about a few little revenue earning opportunities. If you're smart, you can use all the assets that you have and monetize it all over the show. Yeah. So, you know, I think that's the smart ways, not to kind of put all your eggs into that basket. And why is it like that? I don't know. I think fundamentally it's been built from that in day one. It'd be impossible to go back and change it, you know, globally as a trend. But the smart people don't fall into that trap, because it just, I don't know as well, it doesn't give you enough fulfillment, I don't think, as a person, you know, because yes, I love DJing, but I love it as much as I love all the other things in my life. I don't like it that much more, because that's not healthy, surely, to do it, you know, to be that focused on one thing. You know, get it to a point where you've got all the things you love in life in the right amount, and then when you come to do that bit, man, you're on it. Bam, have it, as opposed to it just burning you out or exposing yourself to all the issues that come along with it, and you know, the travelling, the parties, all of that. It is a thing. It's a very real thing. You're chucking your head in the mouth of a dragon every single weekend. Let's not dress it up to be anything it isn't. It is that. You're playing with fire every weekend. So if you're going to do that, counter it with something else.
But I think just circling back to what you said earlier about, you know, there's so many, you know, pirates in the industry, and there isn't really that advice neither. Like, we talk about this all the time. There's not really that advice for anyone coming through, you know, as much anymore in terms of, like, you know, new up and coming artists. They're listening to a lot of, you know, pirates who just tell them, you've just got to do this, you've got to play as often as possible.
Well, you've got the agents who want the 20%, you've got the managers who want the 15-20%, so it's a food chain. Yeah. And these artists are being pushed because we've got this show here, because they all want the fees. So it's an ecosystem. How do you change the ecosystem?
But let's remind ourselves, they work for you, you don't work.
Yeah.
But you're a new up and coming artist. You get a release out. Everyone wants to book you. If I'm 23 and I'm fucking everywhere, mate. Do you know what I mean?
There's a moment in life where that makes sense. I guess I'm speaking. You know, I'm 51 this year. Do you know what I mean? I've been at it for a while. When you're 23, I had a lot of energy to do that. So I think there's an age appropriate time to be concentrated, but think of it as a long game. If you're going to put it in now, go, right, okay, well, look, this is the strategy. Okay, for the next 3 or 4 years, I can run at that. I know the pitfalls of it. Balance it with other things that fulfill you, that make you feel wholesome, that you know, that keep you as one as a person. But see it, well, that's the 5-year strategy. What's the 10-year strategy? What's the 15-year strategy? Can you maintain that 15 years? Probably not without killing you or having mental illness issues. Right, so write out, put it in black and white and say, can I do that? No. Okay, well, if that's not going to work in 8 years' time, what am I going to do that runs concurrent? Because listen, you can do DJing. It's a part-time thing. You know, let's not get carried away. You don't need all week to be you don't. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That is bullshit.
I fully agree.
You know, that is, you've got all the rest of the week. Get structured, get disciplined, get a plan in place that will give you longevity in an industry that is amazing, that people, you know, will give their right arm to be in. But if you do it in a structured way like that, then you can have longevity, and you can get to the end of the finish line.
I needed this episode when I first started
8 years ago, whatever,
because it's such good advice. And again, it just goes back to the sort of the music business side, you know, not just focusing on the music and the party. You got to have that business structure. So fantastic. So, like, what does your sort of routine look like these days then?
What, in the week?
Yeah.
Right, there's a lot of plate spinning. I get up, take my son to school in the morning, go to the gym, have my hour, get my hour out of the way, and then I'm ready to crack on with the day. And it's like a balance of A&R at the label, the business part of the label, what we're doing strategically, what opportunities are going on, staff, that's an issue as well. When you've got 30 odd staff, there's a lot of people pulling on you. I do a lot of radio each week. I've got a show on Kiss every week. We do Toolroom Radio that's syndicated globally. I have a show on My Soul that I do once a month. That's a big part of my week, radio. That takes up a lot of time. I've also got another business as well called Ballers, which launches in February, that I've done with Rio Ferdinand and Bobby Zamora and Mark Noble and Roberto Carlos, which is a bit mad having a business with Roberto Carlos, which is a bit of a pinch yourself moment. And some brilliant business guys, Nick and Danny and Parker and Ben and Shen. A brilliant team again over on the football side. So part of my day is taken up by making sure the kind of cool factor of that business is on song, and the marketing aspect and the brand and how we project and we're going to launch that, and the football part of it as well. I'm very close to how we're going to bring integrity to the football part, because that was another thing I wanted to bring across the music. I could have made a lot more money than I did in music, but for me, the ultimate driver was retaining integrity. Something I could stand by at the end of my career, tell my grandkids, Granddad did this, and be proud about it. Not going, Granddad did this, and his grandkid going, well, that's a bit shit, isn't it? A bit awful that. But you got loads of money. But so for me, it was never been about money, and I wanted to translate my, how I felt about approaching business with the integrity, to make sure we're doing this with all the right amount of those assets in the business, so that takes up a fair chunk of my day as well. So there's a lot of plate spinning. We've got a management company, got a publishing company, events. Yes, I'm an artist as well, so I do a bit of music.
Forgot about that bit.
But yeah, I probably get in the studio for my own stuff about 2 or 3 days a month.
Okay.
I've got it to. I work with James Herr, who's an incredible engineer. We've worked together for the last 15 years. We're telepathic now. We can do. Now we can't write a record in 4 hours. We're doing something wrong. We're at that point now. I spend a lot of my day within the A&R process not fixing. That's not the right word, but A&R in people's records. We don't, very, very rarely do we just get a record and upload it. Most of the time we get the parts in, we work on the arrangements, we work on the sonics, so it retains that Toolroom sound. That's everything we have, is to have a sound, and that comes through years and years of quality threshold being at its maximum. So we spend a lot of time, and I spend more time working on other people's records than I do on my own. I'd say it's a probably 80-20 split in terms of content that we get in across all our different labels. We've got 10, 12 labels, so a lot of projects I'm working on, which I enjoy. I like it. I like, I can see how music should end up, so we get the parts in and work on those. So it's a lot of plate spinning.
You keep saying that, right? But people insinuate plate spinning to be like disorganized mess, but I find like the way you're talking about it, it's very structured. You know exactly what's supposed to be done. You're splitting your day up properly. You're managing your time. Your time management is, because you have to be, if you're in a business like you are.
You have to be super streamlined and effective. And again, that you can be that streamlined if you have the right people around you, because they, I'm the ideas guy. I'm like, let's do this. I'm not the detail guy. I'm like, right, let's do this. Got an idea for this. When I'm the guy that starts projects, gets things going, and then sitting across them. But again, it's all about building a team around you, because if you try and take it all on, you'll fail. So, and then on top of that, there's a lot of running my son to football. We play football 4 times a week. He's at Bromley now, doing really, really well. So they train 3 times a week, and then Saturdays they're in the JPL, so we're all over the show at bloody Chelsea and Brighton and Wilston and Woking and Bracknell. So there's a lot of driving at the weekends. And then I tend to only DJ on Saturday night, so I can get his football in Saturday. And then even if I'm in Chicago, I'll get the last flight. So I'm at football. I'm at football in the morning. What are you up to tonight? Oh, I'm playing in Chicago. You're right. So
your calendar must look very colourful.
It is, honestly.
I actually really want to see it, because I love that. I love like my days. It's got to be meticulous, like everything. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Mark, we could probably speak all day here, but just two more.
Of course.
Got first of all, I think just any like real advice for any up and coming artists that you could give them, it would be fantastic.
I think know who you are. Everything extends from that point, understanding who you are and what you are comfortable with. You cannot build anything on top of that unless you know what the product is, you know what you are, because you are the product. Know what you are, know what you stand for. That can evolve and that can mutate into the things that take influence through progression, but fundamentally go, I am comfortable with being me, you know, and I'll shout that really loudly. And then if I shout it loud enough with enough conviction and enough quality and skill behind it, then people will listen. Don't try and chase trends. Don't try and be other people. We've got Jamie Jones. We don't need another one. We've got he's really good at being Jamie Jones. He's the best Jamie Jones in the world. Yeah. We've got a David Guetta at the other end of the spectrum. We've got one of those. So don't need another one of those. But what we haven't got is you at the moment. So be good at you and then build a team around that. You know, but once you've nailed on what that message is, what the product is, you know, we can't, start opening a shop and go, oh, I don't know what I want to sell. I want to shop. I want to shop. I want to sell stuff. But what are you going to sell? Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
What if a reseller?
Well, we'll sell that. We'll resell that. Sell something else. So, you know, it seems almost too obvious, but you know, it's got to be rooted and the foundation needs to start there. Just be comfortable with what you are, because that's why I've had look, I'm not everyone's cup of tea and you won't be, but I'm good at being Mark Knight because that's all I can be.
Yeah, man,
fucking
class.
Smashed it. Do you want to ask the
well, we haven't really talked about any of that.
No.
We can't close because that's what we always close with. We always ask the guests because of the afters. Right. Have you got any mad or funny after party stories from over the years?
I thought we said we didn't have long.
Make it quick. A quick one.
All right, okay. A couple of mad ones. I was playing a gig in St. Petersburg once, and I finished playing, and the club was much like St. Petersburg because it's a beautiful city with loads of canals, and docked up on the back of the it's an outdoor thing and a big pool, and the guys afterwards said, look, do you want to come to an after party? I was like, oh, go on then. Yeah, why not? So we said we're going to go via a speedboat. I thought, oh, wicked, I'll have some of that. So we get on a speedboat. I said, where are we going? A submarine, right?
Piss off.
Only in Russia can you have an after party on a submarine. It was fucking nuts. Yeah. Yeah, it was mad. They had it on a submarine. It was like docked up, so we all got in and there were decks in there. It was mental.
Was it busy? Like, was it full?
Yeah.
The submarine?
Oh, it was brilliant. Like, all these people had come in and, it was mad. So that was pretty nuts.
That's the best after party venue I've ever heard.
Well, the only other one I did this gig in Colombia, and we did the party, and it finished about 2:00. It was fairly early. So the promoter said, we're doing an after party. I said, where? He said, at the control tower at the airport. I was like, what?
No.
On my life, right? So anyway, we jump in the car, we go to this control, you know, where they got the yes, coming to land, and they're moving all
like
of
the
that.
big tower thing.
Yeah, the big tower.
Yeah.
So they've got decks and everything set up in there, everyone dancing about. And what they thought it would be cool was to switch the lights on the runway off and on like disco lights. They had the guy doing that. Only in Colombia could you get away with that. So that off the top of my head, those two are pretty nuts.
They're fucking class. They're perfect. Well, mate, Mark, thank you so much for coming down today.
Thank you for having me, guys.
There is literally so much value in that, not even an hour, but like for up and coming artists, people who, not even artists, people who want to maybe start a label. For anyone who looking at the music industry as a career, there's so much juice in that. So yeah, thank you so much.
No problem at all. And if you want to know more, I guess head to Toolroom Academy. I'll just get this little plug.
Any plugs, please go for it.
Yeah, I mean, look, what we have, and I guess the biggest accolade you can have in music is we have a sound. You know, we have a sound that's synonymous to what we do in the same way as if you put the radio on, a record come on, and say, oh, that sounds very Motown. Now, you don't know why, to the layperson, why it sounds Motown, but it's years and years of consistency doing the same thing over and over again, evolving, but having a level of consistency that's transferable between every single record. And that's why we built the Academy, because we had that sound. And if you want to know more about business, you want to know about record production, engineering, a foothold into the business, then come and check us out, toolroomacademy.com. We've got a course for everyone.
We'll put the links underneath there.
Top man.
So yeah,
absolutely.
Thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Nice fun.
Cheers.
Does anybody know where the